Hello and welcome to my podcast. My name is Peter Doherty. I'm a Catholic priest and a psychologist who integrates my training in psychology and scripture studies to help understand the Gospels from a psychological perspective and seek out new pastoral teachings for Christians in these modern times. My podcasts are about 7 to 10 minutes where I share insights and reflections. I hope you will find them useful to you. Today's podcast is from Mark chapter 6, verse 1 to 6. This gospel will be read in churches on July the 7th, 2024. The gospel, Mark 6, verse 1 to 6, is unusual. It seems that Jesus is returning to his hometown, likely to visit family and friends. We don't know if this visit occurred early in his mission work or towards the end. However, his family and friends have heard about his ministry, and they are not impressed. Jesus is understandably disappointed in their behavior and attitude. I'm surprised with this response, as most people like it if they know or are associated with a celebrity in some way. I have a friend of mine who has an Elvis Presley autograph. She is so proud of it and frequently shows it to people whether they want to see it or not. For her, it is proof that she actually spoke to him and in some way was connected to him. I know there are some cultures and people who resent it when someone from their community does well. I suspect other people's success makes their own weakness more evident. I have a hunch their pride gets in the way too. Jesus did not always get the support from his family. In Mark chapter 3, verse 21, we have the family of Jesus coming to get him because they believed he was out of his mind. In Matthew chapter 12, verse 46 to 50, we have Jesus' family wanting to speak to him. But Jesus uses that experience to teach the people about family. One cannot be too hard on his family. They were trying to protect him from himself. We don't know if they eventually came around to fully recognize who Jesus was. There is evidence that James, a close relative of Jesus, became the leader of the Christian community in Jerusalem. So it appears the family of Jesus may have come to know who Jesus truly was. You have probably heard the term dysfunctional families. I don't particularly like the term because dysfunctional families implies that there are some families that are indeed fully functional. I suspect that all families have some degree of dysfunction. Healthy families are the ones that can manage their dysfunctions and allow and encourage individual members to achieve their goals. Learning how to be resilient in the face of dysfunctions is a valuable skill. There are many movies telling the story of an individual going back home to spend Christmas holidays with their family. Most of these movies are supposed to be funny, but at the same time, they bring out the reality that individuals face as they gather at Christmas. They are once again confronted with their family's dynamics and dysfunctions. Jesus connected our faith to our family life in his teachings. We found this in Matthew chapter 5, where Jesus says, if you're going to offer a gift, and remember that you have a grudge against a brother or friend, leave the gift and seek reconciliation, and then come back to offer the gift. Our faith and our relationships are intrinsically tied to each other. I recognize reconciliation may not always be possible or desirable in all cases, but being open to reconciliation can go a long way in helping to live our faith authentically. Families are important. It is in growing up within a family that we learn to love. How do you teach someone how to love? It's only by loving them. How do you teach someone to trust? Only by being trustworthy. I suspect some people have difficulty with their faith because they have only experienced conditional love or have had their ability to trust bruised. We learn so many skills in our family, skills that help us live in society and give life to our faith. These are only two examples, and there are many more. Family support can go a long way in preparing the young person to become established. Families are important. People adopted as children often express a strong desire to learn who their biological parents are. They still love their adopted parents, but for many, knowing who their biological parents are may have a major impact on their identity. Thanks to science of DNA analysis, we are now capable of discovering our ancestral heritage and our place within our biological family tree. Passage shows the disappointment that Jesus had in his family and friends. I suspect all of us have had this experience in one form or another. It's a common theme when working with clients. Adult children forgiving their parents, parents forgiving children, and siblings forgiving each other. In some extreme cases, some family members are estranged from others, or there are factions where family members disagree with each other. The challenge is to love our family members despite where and when they disappoint us. Sometimes we need to hold the tension. By that I mean we can have two opposing feelings or thoughts. For example, we can disagree with someone's actions or beliefs, but still consider them a friend. Sometimes being patient, holding a position, and giving time for the other to understand. Families are not always easy. Even the members of the family of Jesus had to grow in their ability to be a healthy family. It's time to make peace with your family. It may not be possible, but at least make peace within your heart regarding your family. It's time to lay down your experiences of toxicity. I encourage you to practice detachment. I'm not suggesting detachment from family members, but rather detachment from your need to see a family member in a certain way. Many religions, including Buddhism and Hinduism, encourage a form of detachment from expectancies of relationships that ultimately lead to pain. By practicing detachment, we can enjoy the strengths of our families and develop a peace and acceptance when confronted with the limits of our families. Thank you for listening. I invite you to join me next week when I examine the Gospel of Mark, who describes Jesus sending out his 12 disciples, 2 by 2, for an experience of ministry. If this is the first time you've heard my podcast and you are interested in hearing more, I urge you to listen to my podcast listed on my website. Every Sunday, I release a new podcast focusing on the gospel for the following week. I invite you to listen to all the podcasts, and I hope the reflections are useful to you. The link is https://psychologist_psychologist_at_scripture.buzzsprout.com. The podcast is also available on YouTube. I would like to take this opportunity to thank my team, Heather Patel-Doherty and Ritu Coulombe, who played an important part in the preparation for this podcast. If you have any questions or concerns, I can be reached by email at peter.doherty, O-M-I, D-O-H-E-R-T-Y-O-M-I, @gmail.com. God bless and have a great week.